Hey guys, I'm Ethan Moore, just doing another episode of EthAnswers. We got an email from Andy. Great email, Andy. Thank you for sending it. The synopsis is basically he wants to know on his belt sander, why is he going through belts so fast? Why are they tearing? And why does his belt sander seem to have very little power? Really, Andy, the simple answer is it's time for you to pimp your belt sander. But in all seriousness, folks, these belt sanders get abused. People don't treat them nicely, and that's a good portion of the reason that the belts don't last. The other side of the equation, when you buy a belt sander right from the factory, there's a lot of things that could be so much better. I'm going to turn this belt sander on, and I'm just going to sand this little piece of pine. And I want just to show you. Now, this is a Raycon belt sander. It's a fine machine, but there are some things that are lacking. Now, if you can hear it, you can almost hear a little vibration. That has a lot to do with the belt here. I'll show you that a little bit later. Let me turn my dust collector on. Now you'll notice when I shove the small piece of pine and I put any sort of pressure on it, very easy to stall the machine up. I'm going to show you how to fix that. First thing I'm going to do, I am going to put on some graphite cloth. I'll show you how to do that. The next thing I'm going to do with this belt, I'm going to change the standard rubber V-belt to a balanced link belt. And then I'm going to show you how, or the difference between a stock belt and a proper belt, and how to use a belt cleaner. Alright guys, I'm just taking apart the guards on this sander so we can get at the belt and get it off. Okay, so this is just the dust collection surround, so it does a decent job. But we'll take this belt off, lift that up, and here we got a belt. Okay. Now we're just going to set this aside for a minute. The next thing I want you to look at is this platen. So this platen on this machine is just looks like a bent piece of steel, powder coated. A lot of times they are cast iron, which is a little bit better design. The problem with these though, after a while, once this gets worn out, it stops getting very slippery. And it actually will get very warm. And when you get sandpaper warm, it tends to wear out a little bit quicker and gets loaded up a little bit easier. But also, since it's not very slippery, when you put pressure down, it takes a lot of power away from that machine. So that's why a lot of machines come with this graphite cloth. So I'm going to show you how to put it on here. Now, if we look at this, I'm actually going to have to cut a little bit off. I'll have to grab some scissors. Every machine's a little bit different, but normally when you're using a 6x48 belt sander, you're going to want about 20 inches. This one has a little bit shorter platen than a lot of them, so let me just cut this off here. Alright, now that we got it cut here, I'm going to use my spray adhesive to attach it. That's how most guys will do it. That's how I prefer to do it. Though some use double-sided tape, but I like spray adhesive. Now what we're going to do, after I spray the adhesive on there, because of the way the dust collection is set up on this particular belt sander, I'm going to try to lift this up and get this right to the back of the platen. So I'll just have to do a little bit of finagling. So let me get my cardboard here, flip that on its back, and grab my adhesive. Now this stuff is incredibly sticky, just to warn you guys. My nozzle is not working very good. Oh dear. But we got her on there. Okay. Alright. Put this on the floor out of the way. Alright, I think we're ready then. Let's see if we can get her on there without making too much of a mess. So again, we'll try to slide this right to the back of the platen. Straighten that out. You want the graphite to be in line with your front wheel here. And we're going to press that down. Okay. Now this will make a mess, but that's just the nature of it. Alright, so we got that graphite on there. We're going to let that dry. We'll just press it down with a piece of wood. Works really well. And we'll go from there. Alright, if you look at these two different belts, this is the original belt that came on it. It's a heavy paperback belt. These are fine, but they tear very easy and they heat up really quickly. And then when they heat up, the grit doesn't really want to stick to the belt very well. This is a Klingspor product. It's one of the kind of belts that we sell. It's a cloth back. The funny thing is, you can buy this belt from really any company that sells Klingspor for less than you can buy an inexpensive belt. Not inexpensive, a paperback belt, a lower quality belt. These cost more if you buy them at a big box store than you do buy them at an actual woodworking store. So you can buy these belts for less and they're better quality. So that's the belt we're going to put on there. Alright, now we're going to replace the rubber V-belt. Now, this is the standard belt that came with the machine, right from the factory. The issue I have with these belts, now you'll see after I take it off, they have a tendency when they sit still for a long time to stretch and take that oval shape. And when you turn the machine on, it'll go whoomp, 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 because that belt is not a perfect circle. So what I'm going to do here, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm going to cut this belt off and I'm going to replace it with the link belt here. Okay. Here's my belt. And the way this link belt works, if you guys are familiar with it, actually, I'll show you. If you look at that, it's a little bit ovaled. Just because it's been sitting in that same spot for a few months. That's just what happens. Now I'm going to try to match up the length to this link belt here. So, just going to lay it side by side. Alright, I'm going to remove that link right there. So the way that this link belt works, we turn that link, pop that off, and out she goes. So that's going to be pretty close. I may need to, every link I take in and out makes the belt shorter or longer. So if you want to tighten the tension on the belt, it's just a matter of adding or removing a link. So now we're going to put it on there. This may take a second. But we'll go like this here. Alright, so same thing when you put them back together, a little bit more challenging, but I want to make that link with my needle nose pliers line up to that little slot here. We can do it without getting frustrated at it. Up there. After you got her in the slot, just try to pull it through here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of patience. There we go. So we got her on there. Now we'll wrap her around the belt on the bottom. Alright, now we got that. I took the guard off the bottom so I could get at the bottom pulley. So I got that link belt on there. So I got it both on the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to turn it on. I just want you to listen right now to how loud it is. I don't know if you can tell from earlier, but it's definitely quieter and definitely a better balance going through. So I'm going to reassemble my sander. I'm going to put my belt guard back on and everything. Then we'll be ready to do some testing. All right, we got everything assembled. Let's try her out. I'm going to turn the sander on here. If you guys can hear that, it's good. All right. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but putting all that pressure down, I still wasn't able to stall it. Simple reason, that graphite underneath that belt makes that platen super slick, still flat, but super slick, very little friction, very little heat in that belt at all. I didn't do tons of sanding there, but that should be warm at least, if that was the standard setup, but there's no heat there at all. So that belt's gonna last a real long time. You're not gonna take power away from the motor on your machine. You're not gonna stall out your machine. You're not going to tear the belts very easily either. Now that I got the belt all loaded up, just want to talk a little bit about these crate cleaners. It's just like a giant eraser for sandpaper. These aren't very expensive. They are a whole lot less expensive to clean your belts than buying brand new belts all the time. So very smart to own one of these. Doesn't take long at all. And when you buy these, just leave the plastic right on there. You'll sand right through that. So yeah, we have officially pimped out this belt sander. It's pretty slick if you ask me. If anybody else has any questions, check out my YouTube channel, leave a comment, or email me at info@stockroomsupply. Thanks for watching.